Why again? No, you're clear about what you want to do and you're going to do it. You're going to get it done. So there has to be a firmness in resolve that has to be imposed. And this self-doubt culture has, in my opinion, I think it's actually problematic. I think it just makes people constantly doubt themselves and not really commit themselves to anything. And not really have like strength of resolve, because at every step they're like, oh, I don't know if my intention, just do the thing. do the work. And if you're so weak in your intentions, then go home, just sit at home, And then as a result of that culture, brother, sometimes I make salah and I'm praying in the masjid and somebody passes by and I think they must be really impressed. What should I do? When people ask me that question, first I ask myself the question, would I ever ask someone that question? And I say, no, that's pretty psychotic. Why are you so concerned with everybody else? Why are you here? Why did you come to the masjid? Why are you praying? Why don't you just put a camera on and just let people watch you pray? Just do that instead. And of course we've taken that to an extreme now, where people can even go to Umrah in the month of Ramadan and do their tawaf and their Rabbana Atina Fid Dunya Hasana on Instagram Live, as if the rest of us didn't know that's what happens at tawaf. We needed to know that you are also doing it, right? For the sake of Allah. Thanks. The intentions need to be clear. Now look at the contrast. وَالَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا. Those who disbelieve, their deeds. Allah didn't mention their convictions. They also have some beliefs, don't they? But Allah didn't mention them. They said they don't believe in Islam. And instead of mentioning what they do believe in, Allah went straight to their actions. Why? This is Allah's way of describing that those who disbelieve, really in the end, all they have is actions, but those actions most of the time are not rooted in something deep. Their actions are dispersed. They're all over the place. And their intentions change from day to day. They're not firm. They're not headed in one direction. The lamp isn't focused on one thing. It's just a'mal. It's a diversity of deeds. Some good, some bad. Some what they think is good, some what they think, whatever, and there's no metric for what is good or bad, because if you don't have Allah as a judge, then one day you thought this was a good thing, the next day it's a bad thing, right? As an individual and as a society, there are people that are hardcore leftist, right? And within 10 years, they're hardcore right-wing red pill. Their entire worldview just shifts, depending on how much TikTok they watch. Or, it just shifts. There is no standard, there's no constant for them. You could have an entire society shift. You could have, for example, what is considered a dignified woman in the United States shift in the last 40 years. You could shift what is best for children. If you ask people what is best for children 40 years ago, then 30 years ago, then 20 years ago, then 10 years ago, the definition of what is good for even children, something basic as what's good for children, the fundamentally shifting. Why? Because there's nothing deep holding you in. Some new wave comes, some new trend comes, some new idea comes, takes the world by storm, and you get swept up with the storm. Then a new storm comes, and you get swept up in that storm, and you just go this way, then you go that way, then you go this way, and you go that way. Jordan Peterson comes along, all the youth are like, oh my God, make your bed. And then Peterson has problems, and we're like, oh, I guess not. I guess it's Andrew Tate time. And and then we'll go to this one, go to that one, go to this one, and just keep hopping around. Instead of actually having conviction. And that's actually a description of the disbeliever. وَالَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا أَعْمَالُهُم. Their deeds. And now let's look at this, what their deeds amount to. أَعْمَالُهُم كَسَرَابٍ. We're going to look at this in layers. The first layer will be actual disbelievers, non-believers. They also work hard for things, don't they? They want to, kickstart their business. They want to make their millions. They want to become famous. They want to become a star athlete. They want to, whatever goals they have. And they work towards those goals, don't they? And they have something in their head. A person has something in their head, Muslim or not, that I'm going to work really hard, that I'm going to get to that goal. And when I get to that goal, that's when I know I've achieved something. This is my metric for success. This is, I know, I got there. I made it. And a lot of times what people do is they look at somebody else who made it, and they say, goals, baby. Goal, hashtag goals. Right? So I'm just going to work towards that. Once I get that, I am successful. Now Allah is describing that they do all of these deeds, working towards this ambitious goal, and they keep working towards them and working towards them, but actually their goals, that all these actions that lead to that goal, is nothing more than a mirage. In the desert, somebody's walking in the desert in the burning sun, and in the distance, because of the heat, the waves bounce off in a way that it looks like it starts waving. Our brain misperceives it, and you start seeing the likeness of water. Right? It starts getting pixelated in a distance, and you start like, okay, well, there's water there. And this person is يَحْسَبُهُ الظَّمْآنُ مَاءً. Allah describes it's like a mirage, كَسَرَابٍ بِقِيعَةٍ, in a low landing, in a low level plain. So they're in a desert, they're in a little bit of an elevation, and far down there they see a little bit of a plain, and they think there's a little pond there that they can get water. Now the language Allah uses is يَحْسَبُهُ الظَّمْآنُ, the one parched, dying of thirst. Actually, dham'an is used, it's sighatul mubalagha, but it's used for someone iltazaqahu jilduhu, like his skin is stuck to his body, as if his body has been sucked dry of all muscle, all fat, all liquid, is basically on his deathbed. He's turned into a skeletal structure, and he's just dying to get a sip of water. That's the state he's in, and he sees this mirage. Right? يَحْسَبُهُ الظَّمْآنُ مَاءً. And because he's in this state, he can't really run. He can't really, because he barely has any life left in him. So he's crawling and getting on all fours, tripping, and just stumbling his way towards this mirage. Now the thing about a mirage is the closer you get to it, the more it becomes clear that it's a mirage. Like it's far more convincing, the appearance of water is far more convincing from a distance. And the more you start closing in on the distance, the more, I don't think that's water. Now the moment you start realizing it's not water, what should you be doing? Just stop. This is not worth it. You're dying, killing yourself, going in this direction. Why are you doing that? Allah describes this strange phenomenon. He says, حَتَّى إِذَا جَاءَهُ, until the very end point when he arrives at it. You don't think 20 minutes before he arrives at it, he already knows. 10 minutes before he already knows. As he's descending down into this sand dune, he doesn't know, but he's still going at it. Allah is describing someone who becomes so obsessed with their deed, with their actions. They're so sold on it. They're so fanatical about it that even when they see evidence to the contrary, can't change course. I'm committed. This is just what I'm going to do, like it or not. This is just who I am, okay? Let me be me. You do you. I'm going to do me. And they're just going into this they're walking right into the mirage. And actually Allah is describing that they themselves know. Even though they thought at first it's a mirage, even their own perceptions started breaking as they made progress, but that didn't matter. They were too addicted to what they were doing. They were too committed to what they were doing. This level of fanaticism of a deed, it's kind of scary that Allah is describing that people can have that tendency. We wish for that level of commitment towards good deeds, right? We wish for that level of, no matter what, I'm just going to do the good deed. But now Allah is describing those who don't have iman, they can develop that level of commitment. Think of like gambling addicts, alcoholics. Think of people that just, they pick up on one action and they're going to go do it and do it and do it and do it no matter what. And they can see the consequences, the destruction it brings upon themselves, upon others. They don't care. They're going to keep doing it. Until they get there, and they thought once they achieve it, they're going to have everything. And they get there, and basically, لَمْ يَجِدْهُ شَيْئًا, strange language, he didn't find it to be anything. You could have heard, لَمْ يَجِدْ شَيْئًا, he didn't find anything. The dhamir, لَمْ يَجِدْهُ شَيْئًا, actually describes that he literally went there and felt the sand. Oh, it's not water. There's nothing here. Like all the way, that far in, you had to go all the way to the sand to realize it's sand. That's how committed you were. And basically at that point, it's too late, isn't it? لَمْ يَجِدْهُ شَيْئًا. What a futile exercise. You thought this was going to fulfill you. It's nothing but sand in your hand. coming through your hands. It fell apart and became nothing. You have, some time ago I was watching this documentary about the K-pop scene and how the Korean pop music industry, and they have these teenage artists that become they have millions and millions and millions of followers and the huge fame, but they have to starve themselves, and they're literally abused by their producers, and like they're anorexic, they go into depression, they're separated from their families, all kinds of crazy stuff. And then they have an expiration date. I think it's like 19 years old or 20, and then they're too old. And then the new wave of K-poppers have to come in, and those ones that are past the expiration date are basically suicidal, and like it's a crazy industry, right? But why would young people be drawn towards that? Because they see something on the screen like this is what I want. This is the sarab that I'm going to run towards, and they're literally starving themselves towards it and heading towards it. Subhanallah. حتى إذا جاءه لم يجده شيئا. Ibn Ashur talks about this parable, and he says something really interesting. وَوَجَدَ اللَّهَ عِنْدَهُ فَوَفَّاهُ حِسَابًا. The last part of the parable is he gets to the end. Not only does he discover that there was nothing there, the language is he found Allah there with him. He found Allah there with him. Mufassir understand that means that to mean he found the angels there, he found Allah's authorities there, he met God, meaning he met his end. He met his end. But the language is interesting because Allah could have just said he went there and he died. Right? But Allah is mentioned because Allah not only is the one who pays for good deeds in the previous ayah, you also owe Allah for the wrongs you've done, isn't it? So he says that this is kind of a tajreed, this is pulling from an analogy. And the analogy is, imagine someone who went into the desert to find some treasure, and they couldn't find anything, and they thought it's a mirage, and they're running towards the mirage. They get to the mirage, and they actually find a debt collector that they've been running from. Not only did you not find water, you found the one that you owe money to. Right? فَوَفَّاهُ حِسَابًا. Then he paid him his full due. He gave him his full due. Meaning, you were escaping into the desert, and now you actually ran into the very thing you were running away from. It's as if Allah is describing that the disbeliever is in some kind of a denial deep inside. That even though the thought comes to them that there is a God and there is a reckoning, I'm going to run in the opposite direction. And the faster I run in the opposite direction, the more I don't have to think about that reality. I'm just going to run towards my goals. I'm not going to be distracted by this God thing. And they run towards that goal, and where do they end up? Right in front of Allah. فَوَجَدَ اللَّهَ عِنْدَهُ فَوَفَّاهُ حِسَابًا. And Allah is quick in taking it. Allah will do away with them very quickly. As if to say they don't even need a trial. When there's a complicated case, some good, some bad, this, that, then there's this long, Allah says, وَاللَّهُ سَرِيعُ الْحِسَابِ. Allah is quick in taking account. Let's look at the same parable another way. Disbelievers also do some good things. The mushrikun used to feed the hujjaj. Allah even mentions أَجَعَلْتُمْ سِقَايَةَ الْحَاجِ وَعِمَارَةَ الْمَسْجِدِ الْحَرَامِ. Have you considered that giving water to the people who come and do Hajj, and to repair the sacred masjid, the Kaaba? They used to do repair work on the Kaaba. This is the same as believing. Allah is telling us that even people that are messed up, like imagine somebody in the mafia, and they do hit jobs or whatever, they also pay money to an orphanage. They also do some good, like something to ease the conscience. They do some good things too, right? Something on the side, some philanthropic activity. On the one hand, they might be sucking an economy dry, and on the other hand, they might open up a school for disabled children. Kind of makes up for it, right? And then they assume that these few good things they do, these pennies they drop in this direction, is going to be, if there is a God, then this is going to be enough. I do a lot of good. See all the good I do? Right? I'm reminded of Las Vegas. This is a sizable Muslim community in Las Vegas, by the way, if you didn't know. But good people. They're not on the strip. Okay, so, but it's interesting that in the state of Las Vegas, I don't know if they've changed policies now. Back when I went a few times to an Islamic conference, they don't charge, if you score above a certain score in your high school, you can go to the state college without any fees. Like the state covers the fees. So they want to promote education, they want to promote healthcare.